molding his most terrifying creation.
I am Claude Rains, the Invisible Man, no? I am a classic on-screen icon from the 1940s. And speaking of icons, ladies and gentlemen, well, I don't know if you know this story today, but it's absolutely funny. Maggie Gyllenhaal, the poor replacement of Rachel in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy.
Rachel! 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 Do you want to hear shouting, matey? This is it!
Well, she's a movie director. I had no idea. And do you know what film she's currently working on that might be postponed until next year? The Bride. What, Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson? No, not that ridiculous rom-com, but an adaptation for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And it stars Christian Bale and Jessica Buckley. I've never heard of her, but I've heard of him.
Why what? No! No! Don't shut me up! Am I gonna walk around and rip your fucking lights down?
And oh my, when you know who's behind this fiasco, I actually want this film to still be released, because when I go into the details, this sounds actually hilarious. I now want to see it. And Warner Brothers, I beg you right now, do not give this the Batgirl treatment that you did to that movie and poor Leslie Grace.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
So from bounding into comics and the Helena Bonham Carter Bride, I think this is the one with Robert De Niro, if I'm not mistaken, from TriStar Pictures. Poor test screenings and Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie caused Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride to shift release dates. More like shit at this stage. Budget is rumored to be overblown. Oh, how can this be? And again, Christian Bale in this movie as the disformed monster. Sounds like great casting, but when I get into this, it's actually even more bizarro. But then again, what caused the pushback is the test screenings. The audiences are mixed about this. Something doesn't settle right. And actually, in this paragraph right here, when you get to see what they infused into, this is going to be part of the marketing, by the way, folks. I kid you not. According to the site, which previously dished that Warner Brothers would shake the leadership at the film division up again, which they haven't done, by the way, reactions from a recent test screening are tepid, to say the least. It's feared the art house take on the material might not be appreciated by a wide audience or appeal to horror fans. From its inception, The Bride was portrayed as radically different, and the words social change were infused front and center in the logline. In other words, folks, we're talking about a modern audience with a modern Frankenstein.
My hair's blue! It's blue!
Because apparently the original 1930s film will just not sit well with today's modern, sensitive snowflake audience. But this is Warner Brothers. They are assuming that the audience knows breast.
Alice, she's my housekeeper. I hope she can cook.
They do, but if you feed them shit, do you think they're going to shovel it down their throats? Of course they're not. So a screenshot from Real Updates, Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, is a musical with big song and dance numbers. Hasn't that been done somewhere before? And wasn't Gene Hackman an absolute fantastic cameo in that Mel Brooks film? Gee, I must be thinking about something else.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
What we don't know is that it was going to be a musical. I mean, that's why I want it released. I want to see this. Similar to the box office dud, Joker Folie à Deux. This is complete with singing and dancing by the titular, I'm already interested by that very word itself, reanimated protagonist played by Jesse Buckley. Warner had not learned from their failure in 2024, which of course is Todd Phillips as the Joker, because the news goes downhill from here and follows a similar pattern. The Bride looks like a modest mid-budget movie, but it's said that the budget could be as high as
$100 billion.
Although that's half of Joker 2's price tag, it's still too high for investors who need the Frankenstein iteration to make $200 million to break even. One investor anonymously observed to Puck that Maggie Gyllenhaal shouldn't have been entrusted with more than $15 million for the project. I'm guessing the rest went on her makeup, her own little trailer, away from the cast and crew, because once that kind of success goes to your head after your debut, which by the way also tanked for Miss Gyllenhaal, as I'm about to get to in a minute, despite rave reviews for her directorial film The Lost Daughter in 2021, I've never even heard of this film, which cost only $5 million, but it also tanked at the box office, which again, why would you want to waste your time going to see a film called that and it gives you nothing in return? Why? The Bride is only Gyllenhaal's second crack, and yep, feeling like a bit of an asshole, aren't you, Miss Gyllenhaal? Behind the camera, and comes with added pressure as a quasi-remake within an established property based on an all-time classic novel. Warner Brothers may understand this is on a level contrary to their lack of guile regarding Todd Phillips, as they have moved the release date to next March of 2026. How could they do that? So if you want to see The Bride, ladies and gentlemen, you have to wait until then. And by that point, I can't wait to see what the trailers actually look like. I bet they're going to be hastily re-edited, maybe refilmed, re-scripted very slightly, who knows. Now, the funny thing is, Netflix this November, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is being released, and it stars Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein. So I think he'll be pretty over the top, actually. Now, the thing is, when you read the rest of this article, Warner Brothers seems to be smelling their own farts, because they seem to believe that The Bride, because of the successes of Dune 2 and what was the other film? Godzilla vs. Kong, or Godzilla and Kong, based on those two properties, that they were going to go for a third hat trick with The Bride. Are you kidding, Warner Brothers? Are you seriously sniffing glue at the moment? Because if you are, I would suggest you check yourselves into Betty Ford's clinic, even though that's to do with drugs and alcoholism, and maybe just use your credit cards to buy yourself some treatment somewhere else, because honestly, it seems that you guys are not cut out to work in the film industry. And before I do sign off, folks, here is the cast list for The Bride. So as you know, Jake Gyllenhaal's already in it. I did not know that. Christian Bale, Miss Buckley, Peter Sarsgaard, who's a good actor, by the way, Penelope Cruz, oh my gosh, John, whoever that is, Annette Bening, Julianne who? So the list goes on, and Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro. The cast list looks really good. Mia Goth, who's a very odd-looking lady and married to Shia LaBeouf. Jacob Elordi as the monster. Christopher Waltz, Oscar Isaac, again, Ralph Ineson, who's obviously always good value for money. Bern Gorman as Fritz. Charles Dance. So already, if I had to kind of go in one direction, it would probably be more this. David Bradley as the blind man. He was great in The Strain back in the day. But honestly, The Bride as a musical with song and dance, and for the modern audience, folks, it's got to be a winner, right? I would go and see this film just to see how bad it actually is. It all depends, of course, if Warner Brothers actually has a backbone, because quite clearly these days they do not. They're all DEI infused now, aren't they? They're all about ESG. all their things coming, all their films coming out now have to embody those ridiculous ideologies. And people just want to pay money and go and see a good film. I'm actually wearing my The Suicide Squad t-shirt today because I haven't worn it for ages. And I like that film a lot. I didn't mind the original from David Ayer back in the day, but James Gunn's version is a lot more demented and twisted and it's got some great visual effects. But oh my God, I'm going to keep my eye on this story because I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. I mean, how do you take $15 million? Okay, if that's the rumor, that's what Miss Maggie Gyllenhaal should have been entrusted with, according to that source, that investor. But now it's somehow blown up to $100 million. I'm not quite sure why that would even be the case. But Warner Brothers, as the comments in this section on this article have stated, if Warner Brothers wants to make shit like this, let them. If they want to burn money, let them. Because obviously, people in America are struggling to pay bills, to find a place to live, barely living in a place that's where the rent's gone up. But apparently these film execs can just burn money willy-nilly and they don't give a shit. But on that one, folks, someone who doesn't give a shit is from me to you. And I'll catch you catching me, catching them, catching her for the return of the next video.
Entitles you to be frightened out of your wits. At no extra charge.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Dream of me. I'll make your dreams come true. Everything's possible with me.